How has a single individual, Che Guevara, shaped the world as we know it today? This question may seem grandiose, but when you consider Guevara's influence on global politics and culture, it's not an overstatement. Ernesto Che Guevara, an Argentine Marxist revolutionary physician, author, guerrilla leader, diplomat and military theorist, has left a profound impact on the world, and his legacy continues to reverberate through the annals of history. Guevara's life was a whirlwind of action and ideology, fueled by his desire to help overturn what he saw as the capitalist exploitation of Latin America by the United States. His involvement in social reforms, his role in the Cuban Revolution, his travels as a diplomat advocating for Cuban socialism, all these roles propelled him to the forefront of global politics. His visage, a stylized portrait of rebellion, has become a countercultural symbol recognized around the globe. It has adorned countless posters, t-shirts and graffiti, becoming an emblem of resistance and rebellion. His writings, particularly his guerrilla warfare manual and memoir, have been widely read and have influenced generations of revolutionaries and political thinkers. However, Guevara's legacy is not without controversy. He is a polarizing figure, revered by many as a symbol of resistance against oppression and reviled by others who accuse him of promoting authoritarianism and endorsing violence. His life and work have been the subject of numerous biographies, essays, documentaries, songs and films, reflecting the diverse perspectives on his influence and legacy. In this video, we aim to explore the life and achievements of Che Guevara, tracing his journey from a medical student in Argentina to a key figure in the Cuban Revolution and a global symbol of rebellion. We'll delve into his ideological development, his political activities, and his enduring impact on the world. Regardless of one's views on his ideology or methods, there is no denying the significant role Guevara has played in shaping the political and cultural landscape of the 20th century and beyond. So join us as we delve into the life of this iconic figure, tracing his path from a medical student to a global revolutionary symbol. Who was Che Guevara before he became the face of revolution? Ernesto Che Guevara was born on June 14, 1928 in Argentina. As a young man, he pursued a career in medicine, enrolling as a medical student. But this was only part of his journey. His true education came when he embarked on a transformative journey across South America. It was during these travels that he witnessed the harsh realities of life that would shape his worldview. He saw poverty that gripped the hearts of people, the gnawing hunger that was a constant companion to many, and diseases that were left unchecked. These were not mere observations for him. They were the bitter realities that kindled a fire within him. He was not just radicalized, he was revolutionized. In the face of such suffering, Guevara found his purpose. His travels took him to Guatemala, where he became involved in the nation's social reforms under President Jacobo Arbenz. But his faith in peaceful reform was shattered when the CIA-assisted overthrow of Arbenz occurred at the behest of the United Fruit Company. This event solidified his political ideology. He saw firsthand the devastating consequences of capitalist exploitation, and it was a sight he would never forget. Guevara's belief in the need for revolution grew stronger after this experience. He saw the capitalist exploitation of Latin America by the United States as an injustice that needed to be challenged. He believed that the only way to bring about change was through revolutionary action. This belief would guide his actions in the years to come. Later, in Mexico City, fate would bring him face-to-face with Raúl and Fidel Castro. This meeting would prove to be a significant turning point in his life. He joined their 26th of July movement with the shared vision of overthrowing US-backed dictator Fulgencio Batista. These experiences set the stage for Guevara's pivotal meeting with the Castro brothers, a turning point in his life. What role did Che Guevara play in the Cuban Revolution? This question leads us to a pivotal chapter in the life of Ernesto Che Guevara, an Argentine Marxist revolutionary. His path crossed with the Castro brothers, Fidel and Raúl, during his time in Mexico City. The Castros were brewing a rebellion. The 26th of July movement aimed at overthrowing the US-backed dictator Fulgencio Batista, who ruled Cuba. Guevara, stirred by his political ideology and an unwavering desire to counter what he perceived as capitalist exploitation of Latin America, joined the movement. In late November of 1956, 82 men, including Guevara, sailed to Cuba aboard a yacht named Granma. Their intent was clear and unwavering: to ignite a revolution. However, the journey was fraught with challenges, and the revolutionaries were met with immediate military resistance upon their arrival. The survivors, including Guevara and the Castro brothers, retreated into the Sierra Maestra Mountains. Despite the initial setback, the revolutionaries didn't lose heart. In the rugged terrains of the Sierra Maestra, they regrouped and strategized. Guevara's role was not confined to that of a physician. His courage, strategic acumen, and relentless spirit led him to rise through the ranks, eventually being promoted to second in command. Over the next 2 years, Guevara played a pivotal role in the guerrilla campaign that relentlessly challenged the Batista regime. His leadership was instrumental in key battles, and his writings from this period reveal a man deeply committed to his cause, even in the face of adversity. By January of 1959, the revolution had reached its boiling point. Batista fled Cuba, and the revolutionary forces seized control. The Cuban Revolution had succeeded, and Guevara, once a physician, had become a key figure in one of the most significant political upheavals of the 20th century. Guevara's influence didn't end with the revolution. In fact, his role in the new Cuban government was just beginning. His journey from a medical student to a revolutionary leader was just one part of his fascinating life. As we'll see, Guevara's influence would continue to shape Cuba and resonate around the world long after the revolution. How did Guevara shape Cuba after the revolution? After the dust had settled from the Cuban Revolution, Che Guevara didn't rest on his laurels. Instead, he became an instrumental part of the new government, taking on a number of key roles that would continue to shape Cuba's future. One of Guevara's notable roles was overseeing the appeals and firing squads for those found guilty as war criminals during the revolutionary tribunals. He was a firm believer in justice, and in his role he ensured that those who had committed atrocities didn't escape their due punishment. But Guevara's influence didn't stop at the courtroom. He also served as the Minister of Industries, where he was responsible for instituting agrarian land reform. This was a significant step towards reducing the social inequalities that had plagued Cuba for generations. Under Guevara's guidance, land was redistributed among the population, breaking up the large estates that had been controlled by a small number of wealthy landowners. Education was another area where Guevara left his mark. He helped spearhead a nationwide literacy campaign, which was a massive success. In just 1 year, the literacy rate in Cuba went from around 25% to nearly 100%, making Cuba one of the most literate nations in the world. Guevara also served as the president of the National Bank and the instructional director for Cuba's armed forces. Additionally, he traveled the globe as a diplomat on behalf of Cuban socialism. His diplomatic efforts helped to raise the profile of Cuba on the world stage and garner support for its socialist cause. But perhaps one of his most strategic moves was bringing Soviet nuclear-armed ballistic missiles to Cuba. This move preceded the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, a tense period in history that brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. But Guevara's revolutionary spirit was not confined to Cuba. His next journey would take him to Africa and South America. What led Guevara to leave Cuba, and what was his ultimate fate? This question takes us to the heart of Guevara's final years. In 1965, Guevara left Cuba behind, driven by an unyielding desire to spread revolutionary fervor beyond its borders. His sights were set on Africa and South America, continents he believed ripe for an upheaval against capitalist exploitation. First, he ventured into Congo-Kinshasa, but his attempts to incite revolution there were unsuccessful. Undeterred, Guevara then turned his attention to Bolivia. His ambitions, however, were met by formidable opposition. Assisted by the CIA, Bolivian forces captured Guevara in a swift operation. The revolutionary's journey ended abruptly when he was executed summarily, marking a tragic end to a life dedicated to radical ideologies. Guevara's death, however, was far from the end of his story. He transitioned from being a man to becoming an enduring symbol, his legacy extending far beyond his deeds in life. Guevara's stylized visage, frozen in time by Alberto Cordo's lens, became a ubiquitous countercultural emblem of rebellion and resistance. Yet, as with most historical figures of his stature, Guevara's legacy is a subject of intense debate. Revered by some as a martyr and a champion of the oppressed, he is reviled by others who accuse him of endorsing authoritarianism and violence. His writings, his speeches, and his actions continue to inspire, to provoke, and to polarize. His commitment to the cause of the proletariat, his poetic invocations for class struggle, and his desire to create a consciousness driven by moral rather than material incentives have made him a quintessential icon of various leftist movements. Despite disagreements over his legacy, Time recognized his influence, naming him one of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century. Che Guevara remains a figure of global significance, a symbol of rebellion and a subject of intense debate, ensuring his place in the annals of history. His story serves as a potent reminder of the power of ideals and the profound impact one individual can make on the course of history.